and LeBatard.
Is this the man?
Yes, sir.
Is this the gentleman who crashed through Victor Maitland's window? Who disabled a non-marked unit with a banana? Who lured Taggart and Rosemont into a gross dereliction of duty at a striptease establishment?
It's Rosewood, sir.
Stugatz.
Is this the gentleman who ruined the buffet at the Harrow Club this morning?
Yes, sir.
I just bet you are the pride of your department in Detroit. Lieutenant, I'd like to see you in your office.
You're listening to the Dan LeBatard Show with Stugatz on the ticket.
Is this the man who wrecked the buffet at the Harrow Club this morning?
Your voice.
Look, can the guy hear me through the wall?
Yes, he can.
Tim Legler going to join us later. Dennis Scott going to join us later. Our thanks to Stephen A. Smith for joining us earlier. Now Bomani Jones has made his triumphant return to our radio airwaves. I swear, Stu guys, I feel lately like every once in a while, it's not very often, it's 1% of the time that Bomani is playing defense against me. He leaves me to start that last segment where we're talking about Charles Ramsey with a handful of texts criticizing us, saying, Charles Ramsey, this is all about white people feeling comfortable making fun of black people. And somebody else writes in, I don't know why, but while that auto-tune song is funny, it also makes me very uncomfortable.
And you want to go to Bomani on that, and then he's not there.
Right.
What you're left with is me.
And then what?
Yeah, it's me.
And then what?
That's fair. Yep, and he said that 10 tweets during that segment.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
So, is this the part where you talk to me?
Hey, what's up?
Bomani.
Yeah, I mean, sorry about this. I'm standing on the landline at the counter at the Sprint store because I'm so dedicated to trying to help you out.
Where were you 15 minutes ago, though?
Standing at the counter at the Sprint store trying to find a phone that I could use.
Okay.
So help me out now. Help me out 15 minutes later, 15 minutes after I waded into this subject, because I don't know where the landmines are on this. I just found Charles Ramsey funny, all of it funny. So what parts of it are funny and what parts of it are kind of racist?
Well, I mean, you'd have to ask the white people about what parts are racist, because the dangerous game when you dabble in humor that involves dealing with white people is you never know what the jokes are. Because, Dan, we talked about this with Neil Brennan, the Chappelle thing. The day you wake up and realize that white people are laughing at you and not with you, it's a very, very sobering day. Like, I do my best to avoid finding out what people say about me when I'm not around, because I don't know why y'all laugh at me. I just know that you do, and I don't want to be made uncomfortable with it. Now, here's what I think is legitimately funny. Number one, the fact that he was on the call for 911 doing this duty and never, ever, ever did he stop being, on one hand, you could argue a black man in America. On the other hand, you could argue, based on what we've learned, a man who's been in the penitentiary a few times. So the guy says to him, so 2207, is that your address? I'm smarter than that, bruh. I'm telling you what a crime is at. That's funny. All right, everything. Him cussing on the phone with the dude, all of that stuff is funny. Him saying that he knew something was wrong because some white girl ran and was running into a black man's arms. Speak for yourself, Charles. They might not be running into your arms, but they even got a commercial where they be falling out the sky because those twins use cocoa butter lotion. Like, that stuff is funny. If it's just laughing at him for being black, then it's not funny. But it goes another direction, though, because I had people talking about how they thought, black people, like, they thought he was embarrassing or they thought he was inarticulate. I'm like, what did he say that was inarticulate? Everything he said has been pretty damn clear.
Bomani, because the story that surrounds Charles, okay, because that is the story. It's not him. It's the girls and the girls being saved. There's a lot of people who feel uncomfortable laughing at any of this. Is that fair, or are you one of those people? I guess you're not, actually.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I laugh at what's funny.
Right.
You ain't never going to make me feel bad about laughing. I might not tell all the jokes that I tell, right? But I find things to be funny. Like, the best thing that happened that I kept to myself that we can talk about now was they locked up all three of those Castro brothers, right? So it was Ariel, Pedro, and they reported that the third one's name was O'Neal, except in the newspaper accounts the first time it was O''Neal. And I was like, I know which one of them is going to snitch. He must be the one with the different daddy. Then we found out it was O'Neal, O'Nil. And I was like, oh, well, they just in it together.
Well, what part of this is all the most fascinating to you? Because now it's being reported, and you kind of knew this was going to happen, and this is going to make people uncomfortable. All of a sudden, McDonald's going to be less comfortable getting close to the guy who's got 3 convictions or 3 reported jail terms for domestic abuse.
That's the most fascinating part, and I don't think anything will be more fascinating. And I even if we're talking about a David Bowie, we can be heroes just for one day sort of thing. Like, we're now in this place where people are going to evaluate him in this context. And remember, it's not just that he's been to jail, it's that he's been to jail for domestic violence. So he has said that he went over there because he has been trained to help a woman in distress, but some people have come apparently needed to stop him from being that guy, right? You notice, though, he didn't jump in front of this in any way trying to claim credit. It was almost like he saw what this was, and it made him look back at himself. That is what I'm curious to see, because we're so just interested in the interviews. Who's going to go back and find out what happened with this dude between 2003, which is the last time he went into Bing, until now? Because I'm most fascinated by that, because he seems to be genuine on this, and he has not tried to, like, pat himself on the back in any sort of way about this. Like, that part to me right now is most interesting. After that, we can get back to people pretending like they only took that one little white girl out of that house, as opposed to the 2 other people who were there, including the 3rd one who was missing as an adult, therefore nobody cared. And I've read a report that said that girl was depressed while they were in captivity because they'd watch the news and they'd always talk about looking for the 2 other women and never talk about her. Like, can you imagine that? Y'all are kidnapped sitting there watching TV and ain't nobody ever talking about you? How unloved would you feel?
How's this going over in the Sprint store?
You know, I have no idea. They're over there trying to figure out how to get this phone activated. They're a little bit too busy to be concerned with me talking about this jibber-jabber on the telephone. I appreciate them letting me use the long distance, though. I mean, I imagine they got a good deal on it, after all it is. In fact, the Sprint store.
Looking at you funny in there or anything?
Let me explain something to you about the Sprint store. I wish somebody in the Sprint store would look at me funny. This is where funny comes to get their phones. Like, you know, in this Sprint store I'm at now, I mean, they're doing my business for me right now, but they're kind of legendary for absurd things happening in here. I came in here one time, walked out of here with 3 phones and had the bills running for the longest that I didn't even need. Keep my eye on my man Ramon right here, just in case.
How do you want to? Would you like to hear at all this auto-tune song, or you?
No. For a couple of reasons.
Okay.
One, how are you going to make Charles better than he actually is, right? Mm-hmm. 2, the auto-tune stuff, and people auto-tune all kinds of stuff, so I'm not, like, jumping off a bridge about that. But the people who saw this was like, man, I need to auto-tune it. You look at them and you wonder if they're the ones that just laugh at the fact that it was a black man that did this. Like, I love irony, right? So I love the irony of this dude in a white V-neck T-shirt, a.k.a. the church beater, with stains on it, who'd been eating a Big Mac, all of a sudden now with a receding hairline and a blowout going down to his shoulders. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your hero. Oh, yeah, and he's got 3 charges, and he's been to the Bing. But guess what? He's your hero, because the dude kicked down a door to help make this happen. And I ain't kicking down a door for nothing. You can break your foot kicking down a door. The buddy in college break his foot kicking down a door. And this dude went to a domestic violence situation. The police don't even like going into domestic violence situations because you never know what's going to happen. That's a great way to catch somebody else's bullet. He said, oh, well, and went with it. Like, what can you say about that dude? Because I'm telling you right now, 99 out of 100 of us keep it moving.
Bomani, you just said to me, what are you doing here? Because you just said to me that you laugh at what's funny, and I'm telling you, the auto-tune is funny.
No, I believe. I just don't care. You're not going to make Charles better to me. I'm just saying it might be funny, but I do look at the people who saw that and were like, dude, we've got to auto-tune this guy. Nah, I tell you, you'll have a hard time doing better than what we got already. The interview with the black dude interviewing him who looked like he wanted nothing more than to get his black ass in his car and go home. You see that one?
I didn't see that one.
No, I didn't see
that. That was the best with the white dude who, after he talked about the white girls running to his arm, he tried to wrap up the interview, and Charles was like, nah, pimpin', I just got to the punchline. We're going to talk about how this, I've been waiting my whole life for a pretty white girl to run into my arms.
Oh, I thought that was the white reporter. We'll play that for you.
That was the white. No, that was the white reporter.
Yes.
There's another one with a black reporter, and that's the one where he said that if he'd have known what was going on, he would have took care of it. Quote, me and my goons, unquote.
The single funniest thing was?
Oh, boy, me and my goons was way up there, but I don't think anything tops on the 911 call. Yo, she said she Amanda Berry. I don't know who the boop that is. That's up there. The 911 call takes all.
I got to tell you, though, Bomani, I really don't know, and I understand the point that you're making, because you never know. I felt like this might be rationalizing bad behavior, but I felt like I was laughing with Charles Ramsey, but that's an important distinction. I mean, it makes all the difference in the world, laughing with somebody and laughing at somebody, but I really don't know where the lines are on this one, Bomani.
Well, what's there to laugh at?
I mean, the whole thing just was funny. It was viscerally funny.
Right, but the thing is, there's a whole bunch of people that just laugh at, quote, for lack of a better term, very black people, right? Like, you'll meet people who can rationalize because of different things about me that I'm not really black when it comes down to laughing at it. Ain't no rationalizing that about Charles. Charles black is the ace of spades, and everybody knows it. And there are people who just laugh at black no matter what, right? Now, it's hard to figure out, no matter who we are living in this place, how to figure out whether or not that's what you're laughing at or not, because we're just kind of conditioned to laugh at black people, right? But you know a good, funny line when you hear one. You know something that's funny on its own face. At least I think people do. And when people don't know what's funny on its own face, they just need to ask themselves some questions that really ain't got nothing to do with Charles.
I think he was genuine and real in that interview, and I think that's the way I imagine Charles to be when there's no camera on him. And for me, that's what kind of made it funny.
That's the best part, is that he doesn't care. Like,
right.
I mean, this is who he happens to be. One thing I love, because there's a real tendency to get people that all of a sudden you put them around people or something like that, they're going to change what it is. What are you going to change for? After he gets off the news, he's going to go back to washing dishes. So all he did was throw a hat on, put it on backwards, wear a T-shirt, go sit down, talk to these people, because he's got the confidence enough in his own good sense and intelligence that he ain't got to flip it up for nobody else. And that is what I think is perhaps the best and most refreshing part about him, is there's something to be said for being comfortable and confident in who you are, especially after you've done 3 different trips to the Bang, because the Bang will break you. Regardless of why he went in, you come out of the Bang with a level of confidence. You've done good work.
He's going to accuse me at the end of this of making this the segment with the word I'm uncomfortable with, where I ask a black guy what's okay.
Yep.
But my final question on this front with Bomani Jones is, when you say someone is black as the ace of spades, do you have someone in your mind that you're thinking of, like a scale of who's at the top of black as the ace of spades?
Oh, that's a very good question to ask, because there's so many different ways to be as black as the ace of spades. All I'm telling you is this. If Charles would have called up the guest line here at the ticket, there wouldn't have been no mistake about whether or not Charles is black. Okay. You can take that to the bank.
I got that, yeah.
I don't know whether he did that on purpose or not. I don't know whether he did that. You can take that to the bank on purpose or not after Hawk did the impersonation.
All right, let me tell you, I got to the point and I was like, this would be a great time to put in, take it to the back.
I think it's like a signature wrestling move. It's like that. It could be
now I'm going to have to play it up every time. I have to take the wristband off and throw it off into the crowd. You know what I mean? And I want to send a shout out to my man Ramon, because he's working hard on this phone to no avail.
All right. Good luck to you at this Prince store. Thank you for tolerating the nonsense and being the voice, the booming voice.
Ask a Negro.
I hate when he does that. It makes me so uncomfortable, because I want to do it, and I'm not allowed to do it. But Monty told me a great story off air, actually. I don't know what you're comfortable. I imagine you being comfortable doing this, but because I like Stu Gatz, it's so hard to make me uncomfortable with some of this stuff.
I know.
But he told me a great story on air about his brother.
So I can't get email or anything like that.
At a Kanye West concert. Your brother at a Kanye West concert, in light of what it is that you're saying there. Do you mind telling that story on air?
Oh, yeah, because I've had this. I went to a Kanye show in 2004, and he was doing Jesus Walks, and there's a fairly prevalent racial epithet that he uses throughout the song. And me and my buddy stood around and wanted to make sure everybody understood, not in our section, right? So my brother said he went to the same show, and Kanye gets on stage, and Kanye's like, hey, y'all can go ahead and say that word. You know you've always wanted to. Number one, they've never asked for our permission to say it before. I don't know why he thought that day would be any different. But number two, my brother, who was about 6'0", 220, stopped, looked around the rest of his section, pointed at Kanye and said, hey, he's not in charge here. That's crowd control, ladies and gentlemen.
See you later, Bomani. Good talking to you.
Take it easy.